What's your reaction to all of what happened last night?
It was a dirty play. Skip, you're in the NBA. The one thing we know about the NBA, you'll get your shot blocked. If I were to fight every time somebody got a good clean lick on me and I'm playing a wide receiver or tight end, Skip, I'll be fighting like at least twice a game. It happens. It's a part of the game. He gets his shot blocked, and he looks, Skip, he looks and swings his hand. And he said, well, he didn't mean to hit him in his groin. He meant to hit him. Skip, if I meant to hit somebody in the chest and I hit him in the face, I still hit them. Where I hit him at didn't matter if I intentionally hit someone. He intentionally did this. And what did he think Donovan Mitchell was going to do? Like, oh, man, it's cool, no problem. Yeah, he was supposed to try to hit him in his head with the ball. He was supposed to react the way he reacted. I don't know what the NBA thinking. Like, oh, man, Donovan, you can't react like that. When the man intentionally did it, and he has a history. Skip, remember he snatched Gary Payton Jr. out there? Dislocated his elbow?
Yep.
He got several, Anthony Edwards on the screen. He tripped D'Angelo Russell. I mean, come on, bruh. That was totally unnecessary. Dillon Brooks is a very intense guy. He prides himself on being a defensive stopper. He said, I think, who was that? Devin Booker got 50 against somebody. He's like, well, I want him to play against us because he ain't getting 50 against me. He prides himself on being able to stop the guy from scoring. But, Skip, these guys have gotten so good at putting the ball in the basket, you got to just hope they miss. Do you understand? Donovan Mitchell is one of the great scorers in NBA history. He has a 70-point game to prove that. He got a 57-point playoff game to prove that on his resume, Skip.
Yep.
You remember when they was in the bubble, Skip, and he had like 3 games in the game 7, he had like 50?
Yeah,
he was averaging like,
he and Jamal was
going back and forth.
Yep.
So he's an elite scorer. You just got to hope he misses. But you can't go to this level, Skip. He intentionally hit the man. I'm not saying he meant to hit him in his groin, but that doesn't matter. Intent only matters to him. Because guess what? He still hit Donovan Mitchell in his groin.
But it looked pretty obvious.
I know he looked back and saw where Donovan Mitchell was and swung his arm back and hit it.
He did.
And so, yeah, you can't, Skip. And it's all because they've done a lot of talking. Skip, I don't go to every NBA game. But it's hard for me to believe in that. From what I'm hearing from around the league, they do more talking than anybody. And they do more talking and they don't have the victories or the resume to back it up. Ever since Josh said they ain't worried about the West, they've been a 500 team. Ever since he's been talking about their dynasty, they've been a 500 team or below 500.
Yeah.
The one thing I love about sports, more than anything, Skip, and I'm going to let you have it, you can't talk your way into victories in this game, in sports. Either you do or you don't. All that talking, you still got to play the game. All you did was sell the game or sell the fight. This ain't boxing, Skip. This ain't UFC where you got to sell it. We got the game gonna go on regardless. Whether you got $1 in ticket sales or you got 100 million. And they doing a lot of talking with not a lot of results to back it up. This was uncalled for, and they need to sit him down for a minimum of 3 games.
Pardon me if I just yawn at this, because there's nothing surprising about what Dillon Brooks did last night, because to Donovan's point, he's been doing it for 5 seasons. He wanted this. He embraces this. He is their enforcer. He does their dirty work for them.
Yeah.
He wants to defend in the grayest of gray areas. And I believe he is loving the attention he's getting for this because he thinks it enhances his brand on the basketball court of it's somewhat the equivalent of the old hockey goon, the enforcer, because he's got some of that in him. And he is a very physical player. 6'6", goes 230-ish. He's a man's man. He's also a pretty good basketball player, just for the record, because in the playoffs, he's averaged 18 a game. He's 16 a game for his career. But he was the Pac-12 Player of the Year out of Oregon. He's got some game to him. He's not just a goon, a hockey goon. But the point is, they have relied on him to set their tone on defense, and they have been a very good defensive team. To your point, and I don't know if we showed it yet, but what he did to Gary Payton Jr., it's just enforcer. This is straight out of the 1980s NBA, if we could see what happens, because he's going to take his pound of flesh, and he's going to make sure it wasn't the dirtiest of plays that I've seen.
First of all, he hit him upside the head, so now I'm off balance, Skip. I'm off balance.
Yep, I got it. He swiped across the top of his head, and then he hits, and unfortunately fractures his elbow or wrist. And he was gone. And fortunately, he's back in business now and playing very well in Portland. Okay, so I loved what Donovan said because he framed it exactly right. Because he just said, this is just who he is. Duh. Yeah, he is. He sees, we've seen this a bunch in the league. Him and I have had our personal battles for years. Well, they have for years. There's no place for that in the game, says Donovan, but he's trying to make a place for it because once upon a time in the 80s, trust me, Dillon Brooks would have been just another guy in the 80s.
Yes.
And Kurt Rambis, I know him, and I think he does have a great basketball mind, but he got glorified for this kind of gray area play because he was the enforcer for those Lakers teams.
And Skip, nobody got thrown out the game when he did that. Remember when Kevin McHale snatched him out the air? Was that the '84 finals?
Okay.
When he snatched him out the sky, nothing happened. That was a common foul.
Okay, and then again, do I think there was intent? I don't know for a fact, but it sure looked like it.
He intended to hit him.
That's what he does. That's who he is. And it's not just Donovan that he has targeted. He's targeted a whole bunch of players, and they don't like it. And Memphis seems to love it that they don't like it.
Right.
And I got to hit this before I go deeper on Dillon. So, Ja, and I'm trying so hard to love his game and who he is, but I started in the first round against the T-Wolves last year. You want to talk about talking without having done nothing. and they win one game, and Josh talking like they just won the championship.
Yes.
And I'm saying, no, you're a great young player, and you could have, obviously, a Hall of Fame career.
Right.
You got to turn it down a little bit until you start to prove it. If you can go beat Golden State.
Because I think didn't they lose game one?
Yeah.
And they won game two, and then y'all, I don't want y'all, don't come back. I want you over here.
Don't you come back to me on this. Okay. So here's his quote after the game. He is standing beside Dillon Brooks, defending him, and obviously Dillon Brooks isn't going to respond because he never responds to anything.
Right.
And he takes pride in saying, I don't read anything, I don't watch any shows, I don't even know I don't know anybody. Right? Okay. So here's Ja after the game. He says, anything when it comes to negative about the Grizzlies, we normally, we know, we get the punishment. It ain't the same. The NBA hate us. No, you brought it on yourself.
Right.
You're talking your way into the villain role.
Right.
It's all on you guys. Right. And then Ja goes on to say, we don't got no history with nobody. Baloney.
Yes.
You got nothing but history with the T-Wolves and Golden State. How about Golden State? Isn't already an arch rivalry?
Skip, isn't he the one that said we don't duck smoke, we run up the chimney? So you look.
That was after game two. That was the quote. That was the quote.
Yeah,
okay, so what are you talking about? We don't beef with nobody, says Ja. No, you beef with everybody. That's delusional spin. I'm sorry. You're asking for it. Okay, now let's frame this in the bigger picture. Listen. Chris Paul III, I don't care what anybody says, he has gone below the belt on people since he was in college.
Yes.
And it's almost like he's got one screw loose.
Yeah.
But he gets something of a pass because he's a good guy, and he's been the president of the Players Association
I think the State Farm commercials have helped him.
Okay, you know what? And maybe it's his alter ego, Cliff Paul, or something. You think, well, he's got a good guy inside him or something?
Plus, he's the average height of American male.
He is. He's 6 feet tall.
So you're right.
Okay, I got it. But trust me, he's gone way worse than Dillon went on Donovan last night. Way worse because he's done bald fist below the to the man region.
Yes.
And then how about Draymond? He lost his mind.
Draymond was kicking. He thought he was a rocket.
He was kicking people in the you know where, in the you know what.
He got Steven Adams real good.
He got him real good, and then he got LeBron real good in Game 4 and got ejected from suspended from the finals for a Game 5. I never in my life thought I would see a starting player for an NBA Finals team actually get suspended for a game because you want to talk about changing the balance of power.
Yeah.
You took their guts and glue player out because he was kicking people in the groin. And then I sit back, plus he was screaming the B word at LeBron.
Yeah.
And Kiki Vandeweghe was the minister of justice at that point. And he just finally said, and I'm sure the commissioner got involved also, and they were like, this is just, he's crossed the line.
Yeah.
He is kicking people in the midsection. Okay? So that's even beyond what Dillon did, but Dillon has history.
Yes.
Dillon is inviting this.
Right.
He embraces his new image. This is enhancing his brand.
I think the difference is between Draymond and Chris Paul is that those incidents are just Draymond was just kicking. Draymond is really not thought of as being a dirty player.
No.
He plays the game hard. He plays.
And in fact, after that little spat, that little stretch, then it went quiet.
He just had a little stretch in there for like 6 to 8 months, maybe a year, where he was kicking people. From that point on, I didn't hear anything before or since that Draymond is dirty.
Right.
Chris Paul, you get Chris Paul, this started in college at NC State. I think it was Hodges. That he punched below the belt.
He did in the tournament.
ACC tournament.
Yeah. He got suspended for it.
He got kicked out of the tournament.
I mean, that was like balled fist. I'm just going to punch you right there.
There's incident. It's just not this. There's incident after incident of him exhibiting behavior that's questionable.
Okay. So with Memphis, they're tail spinning right now. I'm going to give them a pass because of what happened off the court in Memphis, unfortunately.
Yes.
And it seemed to devastate that team, and they have lost some focus, and I think in large part because of what happened off the court. Right. I don't know that for a fact, but it just felt that way to me because it hit them hard.
And plus, Steven Adams got injured. He hurt his knee.
And that's a big loss for them.
That's double-digit rebounds. It is. Double-digit points.
And he was a rock for them because he's an emotional rock because he just keeps playing.
Right.
And he won't get into it. He'll play hard, but he won't get into it. He doesn't want to do what the rest of them really want to do.
Right.
Okay. So at some point, they need to decide who are we and what do we really want to be. And as Donovan said, he said they all talk, and then he listed them off. He said, Ja and Bane and Jaren Jackson, those guys talk SH, and that's fine because that's the way we all grew up.
Yes.
Well, they talk it over the edge to me because that's all they do is talk. Okay? At some point, okay, you were a big talker.
Yes.
But you didn't really start until you were backing it up, until you were established.
Exactly.
You have to establish something, and it's not just making one all-star team. It's actually going to win a couple of playoffs.
Well, I damn sure we're talking about we're a dynasty and we hadn't won anything. I mean, won what?
I don't know.
Skip, they haven't. Like I said, if that's Steph Curry and Draymond and Clay, if they talking ish like that, I ain't got no problem. No. They got 4 and 6 years.
No.
So what are we talking about?
Yeah, they don't.
They don't.
Go ahead. Yeah.
But Skip, they haven't won anything.
Nothing. They won a first round against the Timberwolves.
You know what happened, Skip? It really started, Skip, when they knocked Golden State out.
They did because in the play-in.
In the play-in tournament.
Yes.
And Golden State, you know what Golden State...
They did it
at Golden State.
Golden State.
And so now all of a sudden, but that didn't put y'all in the NBA Finals.
No.
That didn't make you guys final champs. Okay, I get it. That's a nice accomplishment because you thought you had slayed the beast.
Yep.
Lo and behold, they rose right back up.
Okay. Final quick point about what happened. There was a point made by J.B. Bickerstaff after the game that a guy should have the right to stand up for himself.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the classic sports cliche. It's always the second guy who gets ejected or whatever. Well, why? Well, it shouldn't be.
Right.
Okay, so
go back and look at the tape.
Did I have any problem with Donovan's reaction? I had none, zero.
The only thing I hated that he missed his head with the ball.
Okay, well, he did. Okay,
he tried.
But did he deserve to throw the ball at his head? Sure he did. Who wouldn't?
Yes.
With a cheap shot like that? So it's hard for me to say he deserves what he... No, come on. Let's have some perspective on this.
Correct.
And Donovan was just fine to me. There's certain times, I know the New Testament says turn the other cheek, but there are times when this is an eye for an eye, man. If you're going to take my eye, I'm going to take yours. If you're going to hit me in the mix session with a cheap shot, I'm going to throw the basketball at you.
I think Donovan reacted like 90% of the men in America would have acted if somebody did that and they thought they did it intentional.
That is correct. Okay, so let him off the hook a little bit here.
He definitely should. Okay, you ejected him, but he should not get no fine. He should not get fined. Well, I guess you got to fine him, but he shouldn't get another game. He shouldn't get suspended. Dillon Brooks need to go for about 3 games.
Okay, that's fine. I got it because that's the way the game is policed today. That's the way this game is played. Once upon a time, other way.
Yeah.
Everybody did it, but not anymore.
But they didn't like it. So they like, we want
They
this.
didn't like it because they thought it didn't really sell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm with Donovan on this one.
Yep.
Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Subscribe here to get the very latest from Skip and Shannon. Plus, go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.